saying you like anime is a lot like saying you like movies. There's a lot of different genres when it comes to movies. Same is true of anime. And same way movies have ratings based on what age of people should be watching them, the same is true of anime. You can have things, you know, such as Pokemon or SpongeBob. And you can also have things like Baki the Grappler. Things that are a little bit more violent. And of course, many shonen mangas will have a bit of violence in them, but of course there will be limits to what they'll show. Now, some studios will push the envelope a little further, whether it be on violence or certain themes, or anything that could be considered a touchy subject. Now that being said, take movies for instance. Even if you have different movies of the same genre, they could still be radically different. Take comedy movies. You could have... Take comedy movies. The genre of comedy. What if you had, say, Daniel Stern for the movie Bushwhacked, and Ben Stiller from the movie Meet the Fockers, or Jim Carrey and The Mask, or Ace Ventura Pet Detective. That was an awesome movie. Each of those would be considered comedy, but each of those would also feel like a distinctly different movie. Same way, there might be different actors who have a wide range of acting, such as take Matthew Lillard. He's the person who plays Shaggy. Yes, I'm still thinking about the Batman and Ultra Instinct Shaggy thing. The memes will never die. But one thing in particular is this. Really going, like, I could probably name a few more things for, because like I said, take genres of anime. You could have a horror one, you could have a rom-com, you could have a sitcom type thing, a slice of life. You could have action, and some action focuses more on comedy, some focuses more on, just fighting. And even fighting, like if you stick in one genre, things can feel very different from things. Same way like in real life movies, there are so many different genres of movies. Same way anime. There's many different genres of anime. So no matter if you're somebody that likes anime, there's bound, like even if you're a hardcore into anime and you've watched tons of anime, no matter how much you love anime, there are going to be some animes out there that you hate and that just annoy the hell out of you. In the same way, even if you've never watched an anime before, there's an anime out there for you. There is something that you will like. Same way with movies. There's movies of all kinds of different stories and all kinds of different themes. There's so many different genres that even movies of the same genre can feel drastically different. And some actors can have a wide range of acting between many different genres of movies. And then, of course, like I said, an anime. Some animes are a mix of multiple genres. Some have a lot of lighthearted moments. Like this is a scene from Assassination Classroom. Obviously, a bit of a darker moment. It's got a mix of dark moments and lighter moments. I think that's good for anybody that writes a movie or an anime or any kind of show. You should, one, know your audience and what kind of story you're trying to tell, but also you want to try to keep a balance that you feel meets the overall tone that you want to hit. And that's the thing. Assassination Classroom has a lot of light-hearted moments, a lot of darker moments. I feel it's very balanced, but of course you have a lot more lighthearted, and the dark stuff never gets too dark, and even then it doesn't really outright show anything really happening. But, given the context of, say, some red stuff on a wall, people making owie noises, you understand what's happening. So, but it's kind of just... and that's for anybody writing an anime or a manga or a movie, especially if you're going to make a movie that's going to be the big screen. You have to know your audience, and you have to understand like what overall tone you're going for. Like how do you want your viewer to feel, and what are you trying to do? Like what's the overall story? Are you an action show? Take Akira Toriyama when he did Dragon Ball. When he did the original Dragon Ball, he was more so wanting to focus on comedy and less on the fighting. But it was a martial arts manga. So that was his main point. But he cared a little bit more about the comedy. When he went into Dragon Ball Z, he started focusing less on comedy and more on the fighting as well as, well, power-ups and stuff. And a lot of things fell to the wayside. Particularly things that wound up ending up with Goku ending up Flanderization. That's the thing where, say, Ned Flanders in The Simpsons was originally going to, being what Ned Flanders is known for, was supposed to just be a small piece of who he was. He was supposed to be a much more complex character. But over time, they just kept hitting that one theme over and over, and they just sort of made him very one-dimensional. And at times, it kind of feels like that happened to Goku, but it's a hard thing for some writers to avoid, even if they're amazing writers like Akira Toriyama. I enjoy Dragon Ball Z and all the Dragon Ball stuff quite a bit. But I mean, there are certain things like romantic things or other things that he stayed away from because he just didn't want to write about it because he didn't feel that he would do the best job of it. And it's just not what he wanted to write. And of course, a lot of times when you left certain things out, it's either it became canon over time, that just, when certain things were just left out, it was just, okay, that's must not exist at all. It's almost like the idea of object permanence doesn't exist or exists overly strong in an anime. It's like it's hard to find moderation in it. That people tend to go to an extreme in it. But of course, it's a story. It can be changed. And there's multiple interpretations. Take all the Dragon Ball Z movies. Not considered canon, but they're still amazing stories and what-if scenarios. And they're incredible to watch. Like, take the Lord Slug movie, or the Cooler movies, or the original Broly movies, or Fusion Reborn, or take the Dead Zone with Garlic Jr. And of course, it is interesting to hear Masako X from Team 4 Star just go through all the what-if scenarios he's done. But then, of course, there's channels like Star Wars Theory, where they go through all tons of... And there's tons of channels that do that. Heck, even I made a video or two talking about like scenarios that I would have envisioned differently, or just like posing the question. Like, what if Obi-Wan had actually stood up for Anakin during the whole, confrontation with the Jedi Council thing? Stuff like that. Getting off topic, but yeah, just a lot of animes are a mix of several genres, and they have to sort of balance it. And then, of course, there's some animes and some movies that actually are like take really full-on, like, they're predominantly one genre for the first half of the story. And then all of a sudden, there's a drastic change, and you go from a lighthearted sort of romance into a fucking zombie pandemic sort of thing. You go from a sort of sitcom-y situation to a horror movie. You go from an action movie to a love story. Or take any genre, for instance. But yeah, sometimes it happens for odd reasons, though. Sometimes it happens because it was part of the original design by the person writing the story. And sometimes it happens because the story was half written, and then the person who was writing the story either dies or quits or is fired. And then somebody else takes over, and either they have their own unique vision that is completely off the rails from what the first vision was, or they are trying to go with the same vision, but their sense of creativity is different. Not worse, not better. though in some situations people would argue both. But it's just sometimes people have different. Same way some animes you change artists through the series. You know, maybe you might change a voice actor. You'll hear a difference in voice and inflection, or say voice actors as they get older, their performance may change. But take a lot of animes. Some animes actually they'll change artists, and even then, even if it's the same artist all the way through, that artist's ability or influences may change. Like that person may have started drawing a lot of plants recently, or may have been watching a certain type of action movie with a lot of explosions, or may have been spending more time camping and has been just looking at mushrooms out in the wild, and they're like, hey, what if I start trying to draw this into my show? You know, certain things that might inspire them to take new directions. And like I said, there's a lot of times there might be shows of the same genre that will feel radically different. Take a fighting genre. I mean, Hajime no Ippo and Kenichi the World's Mightiest Disciple and Baki the Grappler and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I mean, they're all fighting mangas, right? They're all fighting anime, but they feel like different stories. But they're all the same genre, right? Like, all those are the same genre, but they would feel different. And then, and of course, I wrote this. I don't know if I already mentioned the Ren and Stimpy thing or not. Thought I did. I'll put it in the title so I remember. But, there's in the Ren and Stimpy, it was Ren and Stimpy was a cartoon, but it got incredibly dark at a lot of times. And there are a lot of times that it pushed the envelope on a lot of things that I feel people that watch modern anime, they're like, oh yeah, the anime I watch is dark. Like, you guys have not watched Ren and Stimpy then. A lot of the stuff, even though they didn't go outright and show anything brutal happening, I would dare say Ren and Stimpy, in terms of sexual themes, in terms of violence, in terms of drug use, in terms of many other things that are considered very racy and, well, controversial, I feel Ren and Stimpy went 100 times harder than Assassination Classroom, which I'm glad Assassination Classroom did not go that hard, because I feel that if they had gone the Ren and Stimpy route, it would have ruined the show for me, because I enjoyed Assassination Classroom greatly, enough that I'm watching it a second time. You know, even recently, and of course I've watched it in the past once through, but I've watched it on my second time through recently, so that's 3 times total. But I feel Assassination Classroom is an amazing anime, and I feel that the way the writers did it, I love it. I think it's perfect, and it's amazing to watch, and I think Assassination Classroom is a great anime to watch with friends, or if I had one, a girlfriend. I'm just saying, it doesn't matter if you're just hanging with friends or a romantic interest. I think this is a good anime to watch with them. I feel it's very balanced. I don't think it's too inappropriate about anything. And it's very funny, and it's got a lot of action and a lot of suspense, and a lot of times where it might keep you on the edge of your seat, and you're like, oh shit, what's going to happen? And other times it's like a slice of life, and it's just comedy and laid back, and sometimes it's just like silly humor. So I think it's got an amazing balance. I think it's perfect the way it is. Ren and Stimpy is fucking raunchy, but it was hilarious. I mean, I've watched a shit ton of South Park, guys, and I laughed at it. Of course, some stuff I was like, oh, that's rude and offensive, but I still laughed at it. I mean, a joke's a joke, and I enjoyed me some South Park. So, but that being said, some of the stuff they do in South Park is pretty damn raunchy. Then again, I watched all the Jackass movies, and that's also really raunchy. Then again, I also watched Johnny Knoxville doing the stuff at Royal Rumble and WrestleMania, which, I saw I have a DVD of the WrestleMania thing. The giant mousetrap, and the taser, and the stop sign, and the pyrotechnics, and the mousetrap table. Yes, 2 different mousetrap things. A table with a bunch of mousetraps glued on it, and a giant, legitimate mousetrap. Though it did look like Johnny hit himself a little bit when he, primed that thing. But that was hilarious. I think, if I remember right, Wee Man suplexed Sami Zayn, which actor was like probably 6 foot tall. So way to go, Wee Man. That was hilarious. And then there was a Pontius who did a bunch of dancing, and I think he kicked the dude or something. There was somebody else, and then of course there was the people in the stands that were like right there that got involved, but I can't remember their names. But they were mainly the ones from the most recent one, which I'll say this, I watched all the Jackass movies. I mean, granted, I understood that Jackass makes some raunchy shit. But the most recent one was by far the most raunchy out of everything they've ever done. And at times I was kind of concerned that they were actually going to die. And I was like, oh god. So, yeah. But like I said, I enjoy that Johnny Knoxville is in WWE. I think that's pretty cool. And I think it's kind of cool that Wee Man was able to, I think, suplex, if I remember right. And that was pretty cool. So, yeah. Sorry, that was funny. And of course, like I said, it's just a bit of a difference in things, but still, it's interesting. But yeah, Ren and Stimpy has a song called like the Happy Happy Joy Joy song, and even though, despite the title of it, it was pretty fucking dark. But that's the thing, Ren and Stimpy is just like, it was a cartoon, and then like kids watched it back, when I was a kid. And they did some stuff now that oh my god, it was so raunchy. But I really didn't think anything bad of it back then. I thought it was funny. I still do. Now, do I think young people should watch that nowadays? Probably not. But that's not my place to really bother with that shit. And I really don't care for censorship and stuff in general. Heck, when it comes to that sort of stuff, that's up to a parent to decide. But it's just, that stuff was raunchy. But I thought it was funny. I enjoyed watching. I watched South Park. I watched all sorts of, let's see, what else is there? Like Family Guy. But, and like I said, there's lots of stuff they did that, despite being a cartoon, it was dark. And it pushed the boundaries, and honestly, it didn't just push the boundaries, it broke it. Then there are some things that are kind of cutesy. Like, take Happy Tree Friends. It's not... I would definitely not recommend that for anyone under the age of 18, because that's very violent. Another thing is this, take this genre, detectives. If you had a detective anime, not only does it matter what studio it makes, but I think, like, what... And of course, I wrote down a couple of these, and I'm pretty sure, like, the third one I'm not going to pronounce correctly. But take detective shows. I'm pretty sure Detective Conan is going to feel a lot different than, say, Ghost in the Shell, or, say, Supernatural Detective Majin Tante Naogami Nuro. I don't know if I even pronounced that correctly. But each one of those is a detective show. But they're going to feel like a different show. So, yeah, that's what I'm just saying. Whether you're talking anime, movies, music, art, there's many different genres. And even then, even within the same genre, there are many different artists that go in different directions, and even the same genre will feel like a different show. So, yeah, and like I said, some animes or movies are a mix of genres, or even just radically change a genre. But yeah, bye.